Hey, I love to build all kind of things. I build pinhole cameras. I use my ukulele to build one. A needle. And now the camera is ready. I also built an entire SLR camera, just using parts that I found from the local hardware store. I tested it thoroughly, and then I put even the mirror in it, and I tested with the mirror. Operated curtain shutter. At least that's how I'm gonna market it. Really high-tech measurements. I like the sound of it. I also built several lenses, and I attach my lenses to different cameras. Like here I have a lens made out of the enlarger condenser lens attached to my Graflex. So yeah, I love to build these kind of things. But hey, I'm a software engineer, so a while ago I thought, let me build some applications that could help my film photography. Mainly for two reasons. First of all, I wanted some tools that I didn't find elsewhere. And then I wanted to learn to build iPhone applications using Xcode and Swift. And wanted to learn how to get them on App Store and all that. You know, I mean, I know there's a lot of software engineers in my viewers, so you can relate. You just want to learn these things. And I was a hole in my experience. I never personally built anything, so I wanted to learn. So the first application I thought I want to build is a shutter time calculator or analyzer that I could put my phone behind a camera, maybe take away the lens and then fire the shutter and see what's the exposure time. So I started to build this application. Like, I already done this testing using voice, but it's very impractical to use voice to calculate your shutter speed. I mean, let's take, for example, this Graflex. There's no way you can measure the shutter speed based on sound, because, I mean, listen to it. There are so many clicks and cracks that there's no way of knowing when the shutter is open. And it's not only the time, but what size of the slit you have in the curtain at that particular time. So yeah, I wanted to make it so that I put this behind the camera and calculate the time the shutter is open and lets the light go through. And I built it and it worked up till 1/40th of a second. But faster than that, it was totally unreliable. Then I went and started to study more Apple specs. And yes, indeed, the camera is the limitation. You can't make a proper shutter speed analyzer with the light, just because of the limitations of Apple's hardware. So yeah, that was too much to ask from a simple cellular phone to make a precision device like that. But hey, there were plenty of other applications I wanted to write, so let me introduce these to you. You can find them from the description page, and I believe also, let me check, if you just type in my name, can you find them? Yeah. Just type in my name at the Apple Store, Ari Jaaksi, and you can find the applications I got there. But hey, first I built a simple is that how you say, passe application? Passport. like frames to your picture. I upload pictures to Instagram on a frequent basis, and I got tired of Instagram changing the grid view and all those things, so I wanted to make an app that makes all my pictures square and then create a frame around them. So with one single click. I got tired of doing that with the Lightroom or with Snapseed. I mean, you can do it with them, but most of my applications are not revolutionary, but they just simplify my workload and workflow. So now this application just simply creates frames around a picture with one single click. Then the second application I built was called photo timers. Let me show it to you. This has 3 different modes and then settings. First, there's a long exposure calculator that I have found extremely useful. I just use it extensively just yesterday. So what it gives me is a simple thing. It gives me first a pulse, and then it shows me a blinking screen. Now what this allows me to do is that, say my light meter says that I need 10-second exposure time. So I can put this aside and calculate 1, 2, 3, 4. And if it's a noisy environment, I can see it in the corner of my eye, this screen blinking. And if I don't want a sound, I can turn the sound off and I still have a blinking screen that can give me 1-second pulse. Simple. I used to use a metronome application for that, but now I got it built by myself for my own purpose. Then there's another timer called parallel development. I have 5 Patterson tanks, and when I develop my film, I have them all working at the same time in a different phase of development. First tank may be, in fixing. The number 2 tank may be in a stop path. Number 3 tank may be, or I lost the count, may be in the development, and I need to time them all. So I have 5 timers here that I can operate simultaneously and calculate different timings. Why 5? Because I have only 5 Patterson tanks. Hey, then there's something interesting, which is a darkroom timer. And now, first of all, this is all dim red light, and you can adjust the dimness, how bright you want it to be. Now, I wanted to create a timer for my darkroom work. And what is the challenge in the darkroom with any timers is that you typically have latex gloves in your hand, and you operate a phone with the latex gloves, and then you don't want to touch your phone with chemicals. So now I have here a timer that runs. There's nothing you can do about it. It just counts time. And then I put my phone on a table, and when I want to reset the timer, I just lift and drop it. I mean, I don't need to touch the phone other than a little bit from behind, and it resets the timer. I can calculate various things, like how long my print is in the developer path, how much do I dodge or burn, what kind of timing needs I have. And this is pretty handy in the darkroom, as it is dark and red, so the exposure to light sensitive material is as minimum as it can. But because of Apple limitations, it's not perfect. First of all, I can't really adjust the redness, the wavelengths coming out from the screen. So the chances are that there are some other light than not only red. Apple does not let me go all the way to the hardware and adjust the wavelength. Then the other thing is that this screen has this nasty status bar or bar that it lights up in the bottom of the screen when you touch the screen. I made it as dim as I can, but Apple does not let me remove the white thingy. So if you accidentally touch your screen in the darkroom, this white bar lights up. if your screen is really dim, it's not gonna probably harm you, the pictures you are working on, but it's still annoying. Even bigger problem is notifications. Apple does not let me to suspend notification for the duration of this application. They come through. So how I mitigate that in my own work in darkroom is that I turn the cellular and Wi-Fi off, so nobody can text me and send me messages, which is actually good for darkroom anyways. Nobody can distract my work. But then I also make sure that there are no calendar events for the time I will be in the darkroom, because those would come through too. That probably is the most annoying thing in this application, that the notifications come through. But hey, it is what it is. And I use it quite a bit because it's kind of neat. Then, moving on, then I built a focusing loupe. When I use my large format film cameras, I often wanna make sure that I focus it correctly. And for that I could use a loupe. So now I created a simple magnifying glass tailored to focus from the ground glass. It has a couple of options here. You can freeze the picture, so you can take sort of like a photograph of the ground glass and then, you know, take your time and see if that's focused. You can manually set the distance between your phone and the ground glass if that's needed. Sometimes for some ground glasses I notice that the automatic focusing of iPhone gets confused. So then you can manually adjust that if needed. Most of the time the automatic works. And then when composing, if you don't like the upside down view of your ground glass, you can flip it around and look at it as it will be in the final photograph. Yeah, and then you can of course adjust the zooming magnification. Hey, so focusing loupe. Then I have something that I kind of like. It's a filter simulation. I created an application that can simulate color filters on a black and white film. You can simulate red, green, blue, yellow, orange and magenta filter. Because of this application, I kind of fell in love with blue filters. I never thought that they are useful, but then I started to look at the views through this simulator and noticed that blue filter is kind of cool. By the way, I went to this photo trip a while ago and I used this application and I compared how well this now simulates the final results on the film, and these are the results. First some film pictures and then from the similar view some pictures taken through the screen of an iPhone using my filter simulation. Now pretty close, huh? Now of course there are limitations, like I didn't want to build any kind of exposure correction here, because of course if you get a dark red filter you need to add 2 or 3 stops to your exposure time, and then of course there are different red filters and there are different blue filters, but simplicity is what I was aiming at here, so I didn't want to do them. And I also don't want to give an impression that this is a precision tool. It just allows you to get a feeling of what the filter would do. Then there's another thing that you can simulate with this same filter simulation application. It's not really a filter, but it simulates your pinhole. If you are taking pinhole pictures, you can simulate different negative sizes, you know, how they would affect your picture, whether you are taking black and white or what's the size of your pinhole. Now, why I wanted to build this is that, as I said in one of my previous videos, in pinhole photography, composition is all that matters. And you need to compose your pictures using bold objects, strong lines to make it, at least for me, to make it what I want. So now I can simulate here that what if my picture is a bit fuzzy and it looks like this and it's black and white. You know, what does my composition look like? Are there too many details that I now lose, or does this still make sense as a pinhole picture? And then in this very same application, filter simulation, there's a third mode. By the way, you can move between these modes just by sliding it like this. Is ND filter calculator. And I found this pretty handy. So say my light meter says that I have 1/125 exposure time. So then what if I want to apply an ND32 5-stop filter? What kind of exposure time I have then? Well, it's 1/4 of a second. So I don't need to calculate, I let my phone now to calculate new exposure times when I'm using ND filters. Then, the last app I built is a light meter. Now, there are plenty of light meters available in App Store. But here's a light meter I always wanted, so because I didn't find one, I built myself one. I've been a user of a Lightmeter Pro for the longest time. But there are two things that I don't like in it. First one is that whenever I want to get a reading, I need to press the measure button. And say I photograph a lot during the winter time. I got gloves in my hands or mittens. There's no way of me pressing anything. Then the other thing is that it easily changes the ISO number accidentally. Lightmeter Pro, that is. I don't know if that's what you have experienced if you use that application, but pretty often I have measured the time taking the picture with my camera, and then I noticed that the ISO has accidentally creeped into another position and I got wrong reading. So now what I did here first, it measures the light all the time. I don't need to press anything. I just point my phone to the direction I'm photographing and it measures the light and shows on the screen. If I then want to change the ISO, I can certainly do that, but there's a lock that prevents accidental changes for dummies like me. Then I photograph a lot with my Hasselblad, and I love the EV system in Hasselblad. You know, using EVs instead of raw F numbers and times are such a powerful way of exposure settings. I just love it. So that's why the exposure value is the big number here. I of course have the F number time combination up on the screen. Now then, if I want to measure the timing, I can hold it and then kind of store it on the screen and then go and do the settings. So that's also possible if I want to do it. Now, I first had a video view in the middle of the screen like the Lightmeter Pro has, but I took it off because I didn't feel it's useful. Like I can point this to the direction and this video view doesn't add any value. Instead it's the battery. It's unnecessary. That's my own personal experience. Remember, I built these all applications for myself. This is an incident light meter, and then I wanted to build a spotlight meter. So I created the video view on the screen. I had a version like that, and where you can then punch in and zoom to the thing that you want to measure the light from. But it doesn't work. Or it kind of works, but then you need to use, and without now going into the details of iPhone app development, you need to do a different way of measuring light. Apple once again limits the way of dealing with the image flow as a third-party developer. So if I want to measure the light from a certain spot, I need to go and analyze the exposure I've already done. And then it makes it significantly less accurate. So you can't really create an accurate spot meter with an iPhone hardware. Now there's one application that tries to mimic that, an application that I use a lot, and it's called Pinhole Assist. That sort of lets you point on the screen to the position where you want your light to be measured. But it's not very accurate, but in pinhole photography that doesn't matter because the exposure times are so long that you can deal with inaccurate readings. With a regular light meter, my current understanding is that you can only create an incident light meter unless you add some additional hardware. And that's why I made this the best incident light meter I have found. That is as simple to use as possible, limits my own mistakes, and constantly measures light. I've been using now this exclusively for a couple of weeks and I get excellent exposures. Hey, then a little bit of a sidetrack. This is last and definitely least of my application. I call it Dis Photos. See, I don't use my iPhone that much for photography. I use proper cameras, but I take a lot of pictures with my iPhone. But they are typically things like shopping list and serial numbers and notes. And then they get uploaded to the cloud and they contaminate my picture view and picture galleries and all that. So I created an application that I can now take picture of my shopping list, and it gets automatically deleted after a certain period of time that I can set. I typically use here 7 days. So after 7 days my shopping list is gone, my serial number picture is gone, my, to remember where I parked my car, that's gone. It's just disposable photos that are relevant only for a short period of time, and then they disappear to the thin air. Cleaning up my photo libraries. It's a bit of a gimmick, but I use that quite a bit. Hey, so these kind of applications, what I like the most here are, my own liking is, I use this simple pass every time I post something on Instagram. I use this filter simulation quite a bit. It's new to me and it's fascinating to see how especially blue filter affects. Now red filter we all knew, but blue filter is also interesting. And I bought some blue filters now so that I can use them. And then I love the light meter application to the extent that it's now in the bottom row of my iPhone, because it's probably my most used application is my light meter. Hey, as I said, I put the link to the description page. You can search these on an Apple store with my name, Ari Jaaksi. Unfortunately, no Android apps. I don't know. I don't use Android devices. Not that I have anything against them, but I just... Yeah, let me know what you think. Thanks for watching. Next time something else.